G'day again, YouTube. This is BalorMage, and we've made an explosive arrow Pathfinder. So we're going to run through that real quick. First, we're going to run through some pros and cons of explosive arrow while I run a tier, whatever the hell that was, map relatively high. So, pros, if you can line them up and get them proper, they has some fantastic single target DPS. The single target is really high. However, the clear is a little bit awkward. So what has happened with the clear is you are not allowed to fork, pierce, or chain with explosive arrow because it will only leave a fuse in the final target for each arrow. So you can GMP it, and that's it, which makes the clear a little bit awkward. It has made a dying sun almost mandatory. I would go as far as to say that if you don't have and can't afford to get a dying sun, do not make this build. It will be too slow to map with. However, once you have one, it's okay. The best I can give it for clear is that it is okay. The single target, however, once the fuse goes off, is not bad, although you do need, if you just do it on your own, like I just did for that one, you'll notice it was quite slow. But if we drop a bunch of totems on the ground, and we do that as well, you'll see the pops go off, and the damage just gets better and better. If that lasted a little longer, it would have got even better. So the reason we're using these totems, which is just explosive arrow, barrage, ballista totems, and multi-totem, and that's it, which means they do very little damage, is for one line, which is at the bottom of explosive arrow there. Explosions deal 3% more damage with ignites per explosive arrow in the target. So for single target, we throw 5 of them down. They attack at, well, 0.42 seconds each, and there are 5 of them. I don't know exactly how many fuses that adds up to, but in the right circumstance where you get to stand still and have the totems not die, it seems as if I had to guess by feel that I do about 3 times the amount of single target damage that I can possibly do on my own, which is quite excessive and also very, yeah, it's just very high. Now, I'm very much enjoying explosive arrow, but the clear, I'm having fun with it,
I believe you've gathered all the
but it's not as high as we would like. The main problem with it is that I'm stuck only hitting one target with each arrow, and on top of that, I can't pierce, fork, chain, anything, like nothing can, I can't increase the amount of mobs that I hit with it at all. But as you can see, the single target is great. So that is what, a tier 15? No monster life, no res, no anything like that. So that's just a tier 15 with Awaken a level 8. Just obliterates anything you get to set up on, which is really fun. Now, what I've done is I have actually crafted a bow for clear. Now, a lot of people are just using a quill rain, and I still am for single target. So you can see I've got a single target set up in a quill rain. It's going to be very hard to beat that for single target. Between all my totems and my own barrage attack speed, putting that many fuses into a single target, it's going to be very difficult to beat that. But for clear, I was using another quill rain, but I found what I wanted to do was just tap once and move on and have packs die. And because of that, I didn't need the insane attack speed, but I wasn't doing enough damage with single fuses. So I rolled this, which is just a +3 bow with a bad amount of attack speed and elemental damage with attacks crafted on it. Unfortunately, they removed all the good crafts that could possibly be done for bows in the bow league, by the way, don't fucking exist. So the fire damage and chance to ignite, that's like 70-80% or something, can go on two-handed weapons, can't go on bows. Fire damage over time multiplier, can't go on bows, even though the chaos one can. Your top tier attack speed is like 14% and it costs an Exalt. So all the good crafting options for bows just don't exist, which means the only way for me to get like a proper pog bow is to have no crafting involved in it at all. And that just didn't seem worth it. I might invest in crafting some bows later on if I can get explosive arrow to the point where I'm really, really comfortable with it. Then that'll happen. But for now, this was cheap and easy to make. Anybody that watched my Toxic Rain Miner videos will know how to make an Imperial bow that looks like this very, very cheaply. The attack speed roll is really not important since I'm just single tapping and moving. And the elemental damage with attacks is only a 30%, so that's not important either. You could put a tier 2 attack speed craft on it, and you'd be off to the races. It's fine. Now, important parts. This is super important. I don't know how to say this name. Diadem Dawn heavy belt? Now, these things have ignites you inflict with attacks, deal damage 35% faster, but elemental damage quality catalysts apply to that, and they increase it by 20%, ending at ignites you inflict with attacks deal 42% faster damage, deal no physical, which is fine, we don't care about physical anyway. It comes with a juicy life roll, 2 good res, and a great amount of strength. This is mandatory. In fact, while leveling, explosive arrow I started using really, really early, and I would suggest not doing that. I would suggest not even touching it until you can put this on. It only requires level 52, so it was just not good at all until this happened. So yeah, we've got that. We've got just an average pair of boots with a little bit of dodge and chaos. We've got some fire damage over time multi on the gloves and lightning damage to attacks, which is important. We got this disgusting amulet, which is really, really nice for 2x off the market. Now, you might not quite get something this good for 2x, but allocates growth and decay is the big important part there, which is a golden oil enchant. It is only ever so slightly better than Arsonist, which is what I was going to take. That is much, much cheaper. I definitely suggest people just anoint Arsonist, not the anointment that I've got. This is, I don't even know, like a 5th, an 8th, a 10th of the price, and it is just a smidgen worse. So just throw on Arsonist. It's very, very cheap. Very, very cheap. So this is what my tree looks like. I did not have an ascendancy that I wanted for Uber, so I just took 2 flask nodes. This is my tree. We've gone acro, phase acro. We've picked up silent steps. We've gone around this side. We needed a little bit more evasion scaling. We didn't have any way to cause blinding, so we've done that. We may end up dropping that later. Not sure. Again, needed more evade chance and evasion scaling. I'm having a tank problem on this, not really a DPS problem. So we've gone around this side for all of the attack speed that we can get, and just some double damage jewels, although that one's a single damage jewel. That one's a double damage jewel. And that one is a double damage jewel with no life, but it's got immune to corrupting blood. So that is the rest of our tree. We've gone for all the flask nodes because we're a flask finder and those are fun. Burning Brutality is very important. Avatar of the Hunt is very good. We've taken 1 skill effect duration, and I will explain that wheel in a minute. We will probably take the other one in the late 90s. We've taken Elemental Equilibrium, which is very important. We've taken Elemental Overload, which is very important. And we've come up for Breath of Flames and Holy Fire for now. I plan on coming down here and filling out this life right there, as well as that floating life, and then maybe getting the other skill effect duration. So skill effect duration is a bit weird, because for the clear, it's bad for us. It makes the fuses last longer before they go away, which is probably going to lead me into dropping Swift Affliction and putting in just less duration for the clear, hoping that that will be enough damage for clear, and I'm pretty sure it will be. It'll just make it a lot smoother, because when we shoot, we want the explosion to happen, and it doesn't. It waits right now 1.7 seconds or 1.69. So for clear, that's not great, but for single target, it is, because when we go over to the single target setup, it is if an enemy has multiple explosive arrows stuck in them, the first one to explode will consume the others, adding their damage to its explosion. So we want the most possible amount of fuses in a target before it expires, which is why I took the increased duration wheel and why we don't have less duration or Swift Affliction in the single target setup, and why we might eventually take this second duration wheel. It will take longer for the pop to go off, but the bigger that pop is, the more damage that ignite does. It is very, very juicy. Now, we also get away with Elemental Overload does not require an explanation. Obviously, we crit just occasionally enough to make that work. However, Elemental Equilibrium might. Now, we happen to have two rolls right now. We have some cold damage to attacks on this amulet and some lightning damage to attacks on this glove. You need either cold or lightning. You don't need both, although having both doesn't hurt. But you don't need both. You need one or the other, and absolutely no fire damage to attacks anywhere. So the important part there is Explosive Arrow deals a very large amount of fire damage with the explosion, but no damage at base with the normal attack, the hit that lodges the fuse into a target. So that means if I add a little bit of lightning or a little bit of cold to my attacks, when I plant a fuse in a target, it will EE them so they are weak to fire. When the explosion goes off, that's fire damage. So that will make them resistant to fire, which means I then need to put another fuse in the target after that, while the ignite is going off, to EE it back to lightning. That is usually fine, because in a single target, we are right on top of it, just chaining it. And the chances of you... Excuse me. The chances of you, like, perfectly stopping when an explosion happens are slim to none. So that probably won't happen. That being said, I'm not positive that Pathfinder was the best choice here. I've been looking at Chieftain, I've been looking at Scion, I've been looking at Deadeye, I've been looking at Elementalist, I've been looking at Trickster. They're all decent options. I think Trickster, Scion, and Chieftain are the main contenders right now, and I will probably be playing around with Explosive Arrow for quite a few days, and I may even level, like, two of the other kinds of Explosive Arrow builds, because I am super keen to get Explosive Arrow working really, really well, and I'm very happy with its single target on this build, and I'm medianly happy with its clear, but I don't think it's going to get any better than it is, because of just the nature of the skill. But I feel very, very squishy for somebody with 6.3k life and quite a few more life nodes to pick up. I'm just still feeling really, really squishy, and I think that the answer might be to go Scion or Chieftain or Trickster, because I just can't really get enough defense out of this. So, interested to see where that goes. Gonna keep playing this one for another day or two, get it really up there, try and awaken a kill and see how it goes, and then we'll decide if we want to make a different character for Explosive Arrow or not. All I can say is, I promise I will get Explosive Arrow to be f***ing fantastic. Just don't know how yet. Alright, I am BalorMage, thank you all for watching, and I will see everybody later.